Good morning, you beautiful bunch of fuckers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It's Thursday, February 12th. Tomorrow is Friday the 13th. If you're superstitious, call me and tell me about it. Today we are here live. It is time for some technology inefficiency. I see we've got John and Henry here. I don't think we've heard from Joel yet. Don't have any confirmation on the Beckett's yet and Rolling Toe, but we'll keep you informed, and I'm here. That's what matters. Pick up the phone and join us, 855-950-3835. Phone lines are open. We've got 2 hours today. John, Henry, not John Henry.
Good morning.
Just John and Henry. Good morning, guys.
Hey, Kevin.
Good morning.
Good morning. I've got some deep, deep shit today.
Me too.
Oh, boy. This could be fun then. Let's start off with some not quite so deep but interesting stuff. Did anybody see the jobs report yesterday? Guess not. Well, good. Good news. The prediction, this is so different from the last administration. The reports that used to come out in the last administration, they always talked about the predictions a lot, and the media talked about the predictions. Then when the real number came out, and it almost never met the predictions, they didn't talk about it. We just kind of blew past it. It's almost the opposite now. I don't remember this prediction. The prediction on new jobs was 55,000. The report was 130,000. Wasn't even close. That's really good news for the economy. Here's what I like even better. I'm going to go back and do some research and find out how often this happens. My guess is it doesn't happen that often, but we'll see. Another interesting thing here, and this almost never happened during the last administration I was watching. Not only did we add 130,000 jobs net, there were jobs that were lost. Guess where the lost jobs were? Government.
Auto.
We shrunk government jobs, but we increased jobs overall, which is even better.
Even better, yeah.
Yeah. So really good news on that front. Yeah. Hopefully that kind of news keeps coming.
Wow.
That's the economy we're talking about. We could be heading into some really good times. There are some other things out there, though, that confuse the whole picture. Here is another really big announcement this morning, but I already see people completely misunderstanding this. And it's going to get people in trouble, and I'm trying to warn them. I can't believe they announced this. Trump completely rescinded the 2009 emission standards, threw the entire book out. The EPA has no authority anymore to enforce those 2009 rules. None. They're gone. And it's not a proposal. It's already done.
Just out of curiosity, from the street rod and hot rod type community, how about 1975? That affected a lot of them.
Well, think about our industry. 2009 wasn't the first set of emission standards, not even close. We kind of started,
No.
There was some background stuff late 90s, early 2000s, where they were going back in and even modifying your ECM when you took your truck into a shop. They just didn't tell you about it and didn't charge you for it. But they were changing the emissions then. Here's what people are really missing on this. Let me get back to my notes so I get this correct. This is, I didn't really, when I read this, my first thought was, okay, if the EPA can no longer enforce those emission standards, does that mean that deletes will become legal? You could have that thought. Well, here's the problem. This isn't even close. This isn't a close call at all. Once I read this and understood it, now this is where people are going to get in trouble. They're already talking about, oh, look, you can delete your emissions. Here's the problem. There's two completely different sets of rules about this. Rule book number 1 is the greenhouse gas CO2 rules. That's what was written in 2009. That was all about overall greenhouse gases and CO2. Those rules are gone, completely gone. But everything prior to 2009 still stands. So EGR, DPFs, all the regulations around soot, particulate matter, NOx, all those things are still on the books. That did not change at all. That means deletes will not be legal. The emissions we have on our trucks today do not even address the CO2 and greenhouse gases. That was the new stuff still coming. We still have all the rules about NOx and soot, which means you can't delete. It is completely illegal. That's not changing. Any thoughts?
That's what I kind of, yeah, that's what it is. So but the fines are, if they do go to charge you now, though, it's set up to be a smaller fine, not as crazy anymore, though, right?
And there was another pretty big, no jail time anymore. They did, that was a couple weeks ago. They dropped, it's not a criminal penalty. They were enforcing it as a criminal penalty, and it's not. But there are civil fines, and they're still talking about $8,000 to $10,000 per vehicle in fines.
Yeah.
So when you think of, it cost you about 10 grand to do a proper delete, if there is such a thing as a proper delete, to do one as good as you can do, it's going to cost you about 10 grand. Then if you get caught, you're going to pay another 8 to 10 grand in fines, and it's going to cost you 15 grand to get your truck back to the requirements again. Don't do it. Just don't do it. If you have a truck that's in such bad shape that you think it needs deleted, just get rid of it and get a different truck.
Yeah.
But you're going to see people deleting. There are people in their garage right now, I'm sure, that have read this that are starting to yank parts off thinking they can.
You left out another thing to me, Kevin.
What's that?
The states that opted into CARB.
Oh, that's right. And I did see that in the article. We still have the fight between whether or not the states are allowed to do that, but California's doing it. So are some of the other states. So this has just become a giant mess, is what happened.
Yep.
And I'm glad we're not going backwards. I'm actually okay. Get rid of the 09. The 09 was a bunch of other stuff in the 09 regulations was what was pushing us towards electric. Remember the big push just a couple of years? There was a time you could not buy a Freightliner truck in Oregon, even though Freightliner's headquartered here, because they weren't allowed to sell any more internal combustion engines. That's how bad it got just a year or two ago. That's what I'm glad we put a stop to. Let the market decide when electric trucks make sense.
Exactly.
All right. So jobs report, EPA. I'm only going to mention this shortly. I'm working on this. I talk a lot about AI. I'm a heavy user of AI. That has not stopped. I've got thousands and thousands of hours. I just read a really, really interesting article. It's long. It's 21 pages. I started reading it on Coffee with Kevin and only got through 9 pages. I'm probably going to record it as an audio. So if people want to listen to it, they can. It is the best article about the big picture of AI that I've read. And I've read dozens of these. I get so tired of them anymore because they're everywhere that most of them I just ignore. For some reason, this one caught my attention. sucked me in right away, and I read the entire 21 pages, and then went back and made a bunch of notes about it. It really resonates with what I've experienced and watched and what I've been trying to say. This guy put it into words much, much better than I could. That's why I was just going to read his. I wasn't even going to try to summarize it. Here's, and I knew almost everything he wrote. I just couldn't put it into words as good as he did. I've experienced it. I've been through this, and I've watched this closely. What I didn't really understand, and he is kind of an AI insider. He's young, but he spent 6 years building an AI company. And this is changing so fast, and I didn't put this together. Why was one of the biggest uses of AI, and the most money was spent on using AI to do one specific task. And that's the one I've been talking about learning, vibe coding, using AI to write the code itself. I never thought about it. I just thought, well, it's really good at that. I mean, so we're using it to write code because it's really good at it. No, all the focus and all the money went into teaching AI vibe coding as its number one task. Now, people spent money teaching it how to make videos, how to make images, how to do all kinds of stuff. But more money and time from all the big AI companies has been concentrated on teaching the AI to code better and better. You know why? I didn't get it. It's the obvious. And it's why AI is now moving so fast, because AI is now writing all of its own code. That was the point.
Gotcha.
Teach it how to write its own code
internally.
because it requires a lot of code writing to advance AI.
Yep.
It's why it's happening so fast and people don't understand it. Remember, software versioning. Oh, I have version 1. Oh, look, version 2 just came out. Version 2 is a fairly significant upgrade, so it's a new release. Well, what also happened was there was 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, you don't see those, though. Nobody ever paid attention to those.
Yeah.
It was just some auto update that you had your phone or your laptop do. And most of the time, you don't even know what changed. It was so small, it was usually bug fixes, things like that. The AI model is wildly different from that. 2 new models were launched last week. Two upgrades is all they are, not new models. It was an upgrade. GPT Codex went from 5.2, and that's their specific coding program, went from 5.2 to 5.3. Normally, you would never pay attention to that. Claude went from 4.5 to 4.6. They were the biggest upgrades to AI I've ever seen. They were huge. They just came out last week. It feels like a whole different technology. It now feels like it really does think. And there's a significant change in the way it codes. It used to be you told it what to code, it coded it. You kind of looked at the results and said, well, that wasn't really what I wanted. Try this. Let's change that. There was a lot of back and forth. It was just less than 6 months ago, I spent 3 weeks out at the homestead by myself because I was trying to code my first really serious app and I needed no distractions. It was me typing and back and forth nonstop for every hour of the day I could stay awake. Now I can give it a task, a whole list of tasks, and it can help me build the list. Then when I tell it to go, it can now run 4, 5, sometimes 6 hours on its own. It does something, opens up the app on its own and tests the app itself like a human would. It couldn't do that 6 months ago. When it finds something it doesn't like or thinks it could do it better, it rewrites it, then starts testing it again. When it finds something else, it fixes it, starts testing again. It will keep doing this for hours and hours and hours till it finally says, okay, here's what's done.
Unreal.
The prediction
it's
is
changing and fast.
the prediction is that there's a measurement they use. How long can the AI work on a problem, and how long does that problem take a human to solve, a competent, trained human? And 6 months ago, it wasn't an hour. Now it's 5 to 6 hours of work. They're saying in under 2 years, that will be multiple days of work that AI will be able to work autonomously on its own on a project that could take weeks to complete.
Wow.
Well, to be honest with you, there's problems I've been trying to solve for myself all my life.
But maybe you should ask Claude.
Not sure. Not sure AI is going to get it though.
Well, that's the thing. You might be surprised. AI just might.
Well,
get it.
yeah, no. Yeah, it might. Yeah, that makes me want to run for the woods.
That's the point. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a very.
I always get a kick out of that when you have somebody say, you go into a store, whatever, can I help you? Man, that's a loaded question. People have been trying to help me for years.
Get in line. Yeah,
you are taking up.
Get in line.
That's a pretty big undertaking.
Yeah. Now, here's also what I found interesting. This article is 21 pages. Most people scrolling social media don't want to sit still for a 500-word article and read it, much less 21 pages. This was viewed at the last time I checked, and this just came out, was it yesterday? Day before? It's been in the last couple of days. 55 million views. It's been responded to thousands of times, and some of the responses are really long. Part of the reason all of these articles are longer than they used to be is because of AI. AI can write a lot of stuff really fast, and it was good. Now, people said, oh, the entire thing was written by AI. The first letter wasn't. I can promise you that. I can spot AI writing pretty quick. And that doesn't mean it's bad. I can just tell the difference. When AI writes something, I can see the clues. I've worked with it long enough. He used AI to help with this article. AI did not write this article. Not even close. But that was a big criticism. Oh, it's just AI slop promoting more AI slop. I think that's a dangerous way to look at this. Whether you love it, hate it, you should probably pay attention. I don't think, no, I'm positive. Nothing has ever changed our world the way and in the speed that this is going to change our world. I wish I knew what that meant. That's what everybody's trying to figure out. We know it's going to change everything. Yeah. We just don't know how.
Yeah, we don't know where it's going.
Right.
How fast or where.
Well,
but not.
That's the scariest thing is how fast it is accelerated, and that's because of the coding aspect itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Even one thing I did, Kevin, is I went into my past and I brought back I guess what Grok calls it, a chat or whatever.
Yeah, chat.
Conversation.
Yeah. Right.
And I went back to something that I was doing in the end of November. Hard to believe it was that long ago, but that's another story. You can maybe understand where I was going.
Oh, yeah.
But I brought it back, and we were seeming to be wrapping up. And I brought it back, opened it up again, and dug into it. Holy, I got so much more depth.
Yes.
Explanations. Yes. It was like another level. That was just at the end of November. It was like, well, why did we look at this the first time?
Oh, the reason it didn't is it wasn't as smart as it is now.
Yep.
That's one of the examples in the article, and I've talked about this. There are lots of examples, lots of jobs and entire industries that are at risk. I said the legal industry is going to change a lot. I don't see the need for paralegals at all anymore. Already, this isn't something in the future. I think today's AI is completely capable of doing about 99% of what paralegals do. Because it's almost all research. That's what paralegals do. They research and write up briefs. I mean, it's mechanical almost in some ways. But it's worse than that. In this article, this guy interviewed a managing partner of a very large law firm. Guy had 20 some years experience. He's a managing partner. He said 6 months ago he was using AI himself, learning it. And since then, it keeps becoming more and more capable of doing more of his job, not a paralegal's, not a junior attorney, his job as a managing partner. He said, we're almost to the point where this technology can do almost everything I do in a day, and it's doing it better than I can.
Well, maybe we'll be able to do away with the judges and the jury and everything. Because one of the things that's amazing me, it's another deal, a court case of how long it takes after the crime was done to when the court case is, you almost forget what the crime was. You know, and I don't understand that either, because, you know, if you're running a factory and you're behind, you put on another shift or do something, right?
Right.
It seemed like
build another factory.
It seemed like if they can't get to a court case within a month, right? It seems like they got to put on another shift, so they're running 3 shifts a day anyway, right?
Yeah, except the problem is we pay for that. You know, when a business needs to expand, it uses its own money and invests and then hopes to make that money back. If we want to expand the legal system, we have to pay for that.
We'll make the fines well enough that we're making a profit on it.
But to go back to your point, could you eliminate judges and juries? What if it were actually better? What if AI shows better emotional control than human beings do, and uses more logic the way the law is supposed to be?
That wouldn't be that difficult.
No, I get exactly. Humans are really emotional, and honestly, humans are mainly ignorant about a lot of stuff. Here's one. We've talked about this in the past. One of the biggest problems in our legal system, I'm not talking about criminal law, I'm talking more about civil kind of law. I had a direct experience with this. You guys, and they're still around, you guys remember True Balance, right?
Oh, yeah.
Great product. Simple, effective, really solved a big problem. True Balance, I was there when that company started. And they did what most people do when you create a new product. They applied for a patent. And they were awarded a patent. And they had that patent for years.
Right.
And then a major tire company decided that they didn't really care if they had a patent or not. They blatantly ripped off the product. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even an attempt to make a change to the product. If you put the two in front of you, you could not tell the difference other than logo or trademark. They were identical. They just completely ripped off the product. And what makes it worse is because they were a major tire company, they had distribution already, which is the hardest challenge for a small company with a product like that. How do I get it out and distributed? And this tire company was crushing them with this. And immediately think, well, hell, you can't do that. I have a patent. So it goes to court. A judge has to decide. Do you think that judge knows a fifth wheel from a steering wheel? He knows nothing about any of this technology that he has to decide on. And that's our system. I talked about one time I tried to take a shop to court because they screwed up one of my trucks so bad and cost me a lot of money. To me, in my mind, it was clear. This was pure negligence on their part. And the judge knew nothing about trucks. I show up in court myself, a truck driver, truck owner. The dealership owner shows up, 3 master technicians, and an attorney. Guess who sounded more convincing to the judge? He didn't know any better. They could say almost anything they wanted, and he believed them because they were the experts. That's how our legal system works. I think I'd rather have AI deciding something like that.
Yeah.
AI would know about the technical issues that the judge will never be able to learn.
Yeah, you would lose that part of that they say. How do they put that when they have a court trial? That it was the opinion of the jury.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what it is.
Opinion would come out of it, but isn't law quite a bit based on opinion? Not saying that's right or wrong.
Well, no, it has to be. All of our laws are opinions. I mean, technically, we could get into commandments and that kind of stuff, but I don't want to get religion into this because then it really gets confusing. It's our opinion as a society, you should not be allowed to kill somebody else. But in reality, that's only an opinion.
Yeah.
There have been societies where, human beings go back a long time. We used to kill people all the time. We realize that's not a really good way to run a civilized society. We need laws. We say we're a nation of laws, but all those laws are humans' opinions of how we should act in a society. That's all they are.
And on that, there's somewhat of a sliding scale on that because even when you went to killing somebody, there's been many a state execution where that opinion varies.
Correct. Absolutely. Most of our laws run counter to nature. In the natural world, there isn't a law against killing somebody. It's the fittest survive. I mean, that's how nature works.
Well, yeah, that was, as a society, we thought it was wrong to kill somebody. But on the other side of that, killing somebody, there was a penalty that we killed you more.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you start thinking about all the industries and all the jobs this is going to impact, it is mind-boggling.
Yep. It is.
Now, here was what I thought was one of the funniest things about it's been viewed 55 million times. That was the last time I checked. There have been a lot of rebuttals, a lot. People totally disagree with it. Let me tell you why this is all wrong. Here, this is one that I thought was the just kind of hilarious, but this is where we've come in our world. And I deal with this a lot. One of the most common criticisms of this 21-page article, really deeply thought out, coming from a point of experience. The guy's built an AI company himself over the last 6 years. I thought it was extremely well written. It was humble. It was to the point. It was thought-provoking. The single biggest complaint, somewhere, it was about 3/4 of the way through this 21-page article, there was one short paragraph, and it was a recommendation. If you're confused about this, if you're afraid of this, don't be. Keep yourself informed. What you should do is go out, and one of the points he makes is that the free versions of all the AI are about a year behind the paid models. That's their model. You pay for the newest stuff. As it gets older, they make it available to people free. Everybody can go to ChatGPT right now. You don't have to have an account, and you can start using it. You could go to grok.com, start using Grok AI. It's built right into X. You get some usage at no cost. They give it away. But those are the older models. And what he was saying in the articles, people aren't realizing how fast the newer models are advancing. And he made this recommendation. Maybe you should spend $20 a month to get a paid account and get yourself familiar with this. so you can see what I'm talking about. That was his recommendation.
Oh.
It became the single biggest complaint and rebuttal. Oh, I can't believe I got all the way through this article and he's just an AI grifter. All he wants to do is get your $20. Wait a minute. The guy didn't put a link in. He didn't recommend which one. I don't think he might have mentioned ChatGPT, but he mentioned the others. No link, no sales pitch. It was a recommendation, but now we can just nullify his entire opinion because all he's trying to do is make money. That whole attitude just makes me insane.
Many of the AI generated, and I guess they're doing it on the cheap little things they have on Facebook, like the history of the small block Chevrolet or the secrets.
Oh, right.
That they never wanted you to know about the small block Chevy. You know what? There's no secrets in the small block Chevy.
None.
There's not.
None.
And then when you start reading it, I read it for humor more than anything to see how many things they got wrong on, things that the history of. And it's like,
no,
wow,
Henry,
you're off.
Henry, I know one of the secrets, and I bet you don't know this about the small block Chevy.
Go ahead.
If you can get it to run backwards, it'll play the Beatles anthology.
Is that right?
Yes, promise. I read it on the internet.
That must have been a '60s edition.
It was a special
introduced
edition.
In '55.
You had to know which. Yeah,
special edition.
Right, special edition. You had to know which VIN numbers. It's deep, but it's true because I read it on the internet.
Yeah. It needed 462 casting heads too, I think.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
All right. And anybody in small blocks knows what a 461 or 462 casting is.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my rant for the day. That's my deep thought for the week. I'm done. What does anybody else have?
My deep thought was put on me by Yunsu this morning. And we were talking about electric trucks and cars, and we were talking about internal combustion engines. And the one he hit me with that really made me think, imagine we flipped the script on this. Imagine if what we were all operating was electric vehicles, and that was the norm. And we were going to switch to internal combustion engines. What would be the outrage then?
Henry.
Now think about that. What are we going to do with all the smoke?
Yeah, Yunsu.
These things are going to be killing us.
Thinks a lot like I do in some ways. I have used this kind of example for years. Here's a big one. I am a huge proponent of the fair tax. I have been since I learned about the fair tax from Neil Bort sometime in the early 90s. Fair tax proposal has been around for a long time. It's not just an idea. It is a completely finished replacement to our income tax. All the rules are there. It's been thought through. It was worked on. A group of businessmen spent like $20 million developing the entire framework. It's not just a proposal. The whole system was already worked out. It's been in Congress ever since. Decades now. Gets voted on every year. Gains a little bit every year. We've never really been close. We may be close now. Trump has already talked several times seriously about eliminating the income tax. The fair tax would do it. You could do it with tariffs. There are several ways to do it. But you propose the fair tax to people, and no matter how well you explain it, they lose their mind. They find everything that could possibly be wrong with this idea, and that's all they will talk about. All the things that could possibly be wrong. Nothing they could prove, but what about this? What about? And they will fight till the death. And then all I try to get them to do is say, let's assume that we had the fair tax in place today, and we decided to replace it with 800,000 pages of IRS code, and we need to hire 350,000 IRS agents to enforce it. Would we defend that? Would we be happy that that's what we were switching to? Well, when that's what we already have, and we're actually trying to improve it, people will defend it to the death. It's a horrible system.
I thought it was an interesting thought, though.
It is an interesting thought, and sometimes it's a very interesting way to think about things. As humans, why are we so resistant to change that even when the change is obviously better, we can't get our head around it?
Right.
Yeah.
I've said for a long time,
Right.
once battery technology gets better, it's very, very hard to make an argument about electric-powered stuff.
Well, it was funny at the show. You know, my truck used to be pretty controversial, but I was right across from the Tesla, so I wasn't controversial at all.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But
yeah,
so with having fun, people falling back from the Tesla, you know, with everything from it's gay to this to that, you know, with the comments were unbelievable. And I said, and the biggest thing that I was on was I couldn't believe how old school it was. And they were like, old school? I said, well, first of all, electric vehicles were around before internal combustion engine.
yeah.
I said, second of all, it has suicide doors on every door on the truck is a suicide door. How much more old school does it get than that?
Yeah.
And the shape of it, I found a 1937 white Labatt's beer truck.
Looks just like it.
That I'll put a picture up of it to you.
No, I've seen it. I know which one you're talking about.
Chat we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, this is its great grandfather in 1937.
Right. Right.
It's in the basic shape of it. I'm like, this thing's pretty old school.
Uh-huh. And doesn't it have like the drag coefficient of a Ferrari or something?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's always been my thing with all the battles we fight in this industry, dealing with all the regulations, brokers, everything that we deal with. Do you want to pick a fight with air?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else, or should we get to some calls?
Know that well.
Well, it was a good show. AI was a strong conversation at that summit there. We did really well. Presentation went really well.
Good.
We had a great run, lots of excitement and interest, and it was great.
Did I see
really well?
You got an award?
Yeah, we did. We were strong.
Tell us about
it. But AI, AI won.
Yeah.
But even
imagine
the guys
that.
who won thought we were. Yeah, they thought we would have. They thought we would have. I think we were definitely a crowd favorite. I think if they would have been, but the judges were. Well, let's face it. 11 out of the 12 nominations this year were AI.
That's the point. It is taking over everything. It just is. And I don't even want to argue with anybody whether it's good or bad. I've tried to make my opinion clear. If I could wave a magic wand, I would make the technology disappear forever. I do not think it's good for human beings. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope it's good for our economy. I hope it's good for everybody, but that's a big if.
Well, it was the stuff they were doing was quite amazing.
It's
slowing the trucks down by weather maps and. But it's cool. Wouldn't go over very well here, but it's a different thing. You're talking to guys with 500,000 trucks. It was interesting. Lots of good talk on electric EAPUs. Lots of conversation because we're running the lithium, and it's been doing extremely well for us. We even let it run through a weekend now.
Oh, nice.
And Monday morning, dumped off Friday, and it wasn't extremely cold, but we left the bunk heat at the lowest temperature. We left the engine heater doing 2 hours. Ran for 2 hours, every 8 hours. So it kept the motor warm. Motor was never cold.
Yeah.
And we Friday at 5, and the driver had a doctor appointment, so he rolled in there at 11 on Monday, and we were still at about 55%, 56%,
Wow.
I believe.
Nice.
And nice and warm and everything fired up. So we got to work a lot with that and discuss them and went through
Now,
everything. It went good. Weather was cold in Florida. That was for the rest of them, but the place was beautiful. They did a really nice job of hosting us, and everything went well that way. Connection flights are a pain in the butt. But
oh, yeah, they are. They are. Traveling's a pain in the ass anymore. Let's kind of think about this in the lens we were just talking about. People hate change. I get it. They fight this all the time. I completely understand why people in this industry, drivers, all of us, are worried about autonomous technology. It takes our jobs away. Of course we'd be worried about it. It takes my entire business away. My business serves people who own and drive trucks. That's the only reason we exist. If there's no driver in the truck, I have no business. So this is not something I am for. I get why we push back against autonomous technology. You know what I was always shocked about? Why do we push back so hard against electric? Why are we so threatened by this? Now, I will be the first one to say I'll push back when they start putting quotas and saying you can't sell any more internal combustion until you, mandates, quotas, bullshit. I don't want any of that. But as long as and here's something else I don't want. I don't want any subsidies on any of these technologies. No tax breaks, no subsidies. Let the market decide. If that's the case,
let the market let the market make it so good. It's correct. A smart choice.
Exactly. When it makes financial sense, when the market is good enough that it makes financial sense, then you'll have a choice if you want to go buy an electric truck. Don't take away any of my choices. I still want to be able to buy a 1959 Brockway and put it to work on the road if I want, and I should be allowed. But if that were the case, I don't know why we push back so hard against electric. It's just another choice. And here's an example where we should all be behind it. The electric APUs, we all bitch about some engine starting and stopping next to us all night because we can't sleep, whether it's a reefer or an APU or the truck itself. If all of that becomes electric, isn't that better for all of us?
Well, our system's quiet too. Like that was one of the main things my drivers like about them. But exactly. It does. There's a whole pile of things that it's got huge benefits. Instant torque, trying to manage the torque.
And some people act like it's Satan incarnate. Like, oh, electric? What? Are you kidding? How that? No, it's a very, very promising technology that could improve a lot of things. I just don't know why we're so against it.
A lot less parts.
A lot less parts.
Yeah.
A lot less.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that went well.
When you think about the internal combustion engine, which I've really enjoyed over the years, racing and everything else.
Yep.
When you look at just the moving parts and pieces,
the complexity. Just look at how long it took all of us to get our head around engine architecture. This is really, really complex, and we didn't understand it. It took us a long time, and we're all gearheads. Wasn't like we didn't know what we were talking about. We're all gearheads, but it took me a while to get my head around all of that. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, electric only needs one set of gears.
We could go on and on and on about why this really could be a better technology if we do this right.
But don't force it with government incentives.
Don't force
make
it.
sense and shove it. Don't throw it in the throat. Make it so good that the choice is clear.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, a gentleman there at the show involved with that Tesla in a previous life, he had worked at selling electric buses. And I thought it was a real interesting comment. He said, you would have thought it would have been California, would have been all over it. California cities. He said the one that was on it the most for him and eager to get electric buses was, of all places, Louisville, Kentucky.
Really?
You know why?
No.
When you hear the rest of it, it's going to make complete sense.
Okay.
They wanted their buses operating on Kentucky coal.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to some phone
And
calls.
that's sort of backwards from what you would think.
It is backwards,
was
but
one other
it
thing.
makes sense. Go ahead, John.
We had it was good. Got to exchange with people and talk and get some stories. Heard a story about Henry during. Well, one fellow was riding with him in Texas and losing a window. Remember that, Henry?
Whoa!
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to think back on that. Jason Cannon.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I know,
He
Jason.
told me to ask you about that. Yeah, he said
Yeah,
that you guys had a weird one.
Yeah. Kind of aimed for him.
Yeah. So that was good. And no, but well, if you got a call ready to go, I got some more excitement stuff to bring up here after. But
Sure. All right.
So.
We'll work it in. Oh, wait a minute. I brought I had Tony on the line and I brought him in and we kept talking and I just looked up and Tony's gone. Tony, call back. I don't know what happened to you there. Let's go to Ohio. Cole, where have you been?
All over. How are you guys been doing?
Good. What's up?
Good. Well, I just wanted to check in with you guys. The new freight market is kind of interesting. And got a little bit of fuel mileage to talk about in the new long hood I bought, and then all kinds of broker stuff we could talk about. AI is killing me. I'm about ready to quit the industry because of AI.
Yeah, well, we're just getting started, believe it or not.
Yeah, we're getting. I don't know what you want to talk about first, but
you pick.
I'm really just throwing out relationships anymore because no one wants to work on them. Everyone wants to book everything. No one wants to talk to you. Everyone wants to email. And the bottom line is, this is a new development. I've always spoken out against dispatch services. I hired one just now. Start of the year.
I was looking at this again. I have been a huge critic of dispatch services, but so much is changing. I bring this up all the time. I never get an answer, ever. I don't even get a real response. I get the deer in the headlights look. Nobody knows what to say about it. But a lot of these things we talk about, we only talk about them because we still have this antiquated set of regulations left over from 1970s. Why do we still have an authority process at all? Nobody can ever explain to me why that process even exists anymore. It shouldn't. It should have gone away with deregulation, but they kept it for some reason. And it doesn't make any sense. And if you think about it, I don't know any other industry that operates like this. There may be some, but I've never come across one. I've started lots of businesses in different industries that do different things. The only time I ever had to ask permission from the government to start that business was in trucking. Nobody else has to do that. And then if I ask people, they'll go, "Oh, well, safety. How would we?" Lots of industries have safety regulations. They don't have authority. The authority process itself makes no sense, and nobody will acknowledge that.
Don't you have to be a licensed doctor or dentist?
I'm not saying we shouldn't have licenses. Almost all of those, though, are
sort of like authority.
Hold on, though.
It would make sense having that process if they actually did what they were supposed to do back before deregulation and say no to some people. But to your point, Kevin, they always say yes. So why is the point?
Right. But Cole, I'll also push back against the whole concept. I never want the government to be able to say, no, you can't get into business.
Oh, right. Correct.
Ever.
Correct.
Now,
what should not be the government's. Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with you there.
Yeah. Now to go back to
it would have made sense if we say we want the government to restrict this.
Oh, correct.
And they do restrict it.
Correct.
But they don't restrict it, and we don't want them to anyway.
Exactly. That's my point. Why did we either decided the government does not get to tell us, the government does not get to have any control over supply. That's what they used to have. They used to be able to control the supply. And by controlling the supply, they controlled the price. That's socialist. I don't want anything to do with that. No other industry has to do it. We shouldn't have to do it. Why did we leave that mechanism in place when we decided not to do that anymore? It doesn't make any sense to have the mechanism in the first place.
Yeah.
If there was no such thing as broker authority, then dispatch services make total sense. But today, a dispatch service looks a lot like an unlicensed broker.
Well, no. I kind of thought so too, but once I kind of got into it, really all they are is an employee of my company that I pay $10.99, right?
Well, then don't use the word
That's
employee.
All they really are.
That's an oxymoron.
But I mean, that's effectively what they are. They have no authority other than they work for me.
Well, right.
They have authority to negotiate rates, but they don't even have authority. The broker still calls me to verify it.
That's kind of
all
why
they do is they pick the loads and they send me So it's basically a glorified employee.
Well, but wait a minute. Wait a minute.
If I was to hire a dispatcher to sit in my office and look at two screens all day long and send emails all day long and negotiate rates and understand the market, that's what a dispatch service would do.
Correct.
But
and if they were
unless
one
you
of
have
your
10 to 15 trucks, you can't afford that.
Correct. And if they were truly one of your
so
employees,
a dispatch service effectively works for a bunch.
Then that makes sense because you have operating authority that allows your employees to work under that operating authority. That's where it gets weird, and it only gets weird because we still have this thing called operating authority for both carriers and brokers. Why can't a dispatch service go out and solicit freight directly from the shipper for you?
Well, I guess they could.
Only if they're your employee.
And then I would.
Not as an independent contractor,
they
can't.
Could just connect the dots and.
Okay.
Well, sure they could.
No, they can't.
All they got to do is call Mr. Shipper and say, "Hey, I've got my client who has trucks. Would you call my client and set up with them?"
That's what happens.
It's up to me that I pay the.
That's what happens in the real world. But here's the problem. I don't have a problem with a system that would work that way. What I have a problem with is having rules that say it can't work that way, but then not enforcing those rules.
Right. No, I'm in agreement with you. I think that it's honestly, I'm coming to the understanding that this industry is just shit. And it's all shit and everything's shit. And so we just have to, if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah.
So I've hired a dispatch service that barely speaks English, and they're booking great loads for me.
Yeah,
because
I know.
The whole industry barely speaks English. The brokers don't speak English. The shippers don't speak English. I've been having a hell of a time with signs at the shippers. They're all written from people that don't understand English, and it says weird things that don't make any sense to Americans. And it's you go in the wrong direction. And you point to the sign. You're like, wait a minute, what about the sign? And then they don't speak English, and you're like, oh, I see why you wrote it that way.
I don't mean to laugh.
The whole industry doesn't speak English, so you just need to hire somebody that doesn't speak English.
I don't mean to laugh at you, Cole. I'm laughing because it's true and so ironic.
It is true.
I know. That's why I'm laughing, because what else can I do?
I'm laughing too.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It is sad. It's a mess.
Sad. But so I was thinking about this the other day. I was unloading in where was I at? That was in Maryland, and none of the unloaders spoke English. Like I backed into a site. I backed into the door. Like it was a big. I was offloading warehouse racking, so it was a big, huge warehouse, probably Amazon. I don't know. And I backed into the whole building. It was empty, and they were unloading the racking. Not a word got spoken. I unstrapped the load. They unloaded everything, and they signed my paperwork, and off I went because they didn't speak English.
Right.
And I was thinking to myself, us Americans, we don't belong here anymore.
It's starting to feel that way.
Yeah,
it is starting.
And so it's sad. And that
I always want to say, I am all for more legal immigration. I'm all for it. I want more people coming here. We need more people, but we need more good people. We've got to vet them. They've got to be qualified. They have to be able to speak English. They have to want to integrate into our society, not change it. And if that's the case, then
to the melting pot.
In my opinion, they're all welcome. But we have to do it right.
Well, the prime example of that not working right is the Indians didn't do a good job vetting their immigrants.
Correct. And we allowed it. Not only did we allow it, it wasn't an oversight. In some states, this was the plan. You can't look at the numbers and think anything different. When the number of CDLs issued in a state tripled or quadrupled, and then we find out that 40% of them should have never gotten a license, this was not an oversight.
Yeah.
No.
So, Kevin, that brings us into the market situation.
Cole, just before you move there, Cole, yeah. I learned, it was eye-opening for me last week at the summit on AI, is that companies don't answer emails. That's all AI. There's nobody answering an email anymore in the large companies.
Well,
that's
just like
all AI.
Yeah.
And
just like I reported earlier,
I don't look at my emails anymore.
In some cases, that would be an improvement.
No, it would be an improvement. I get that. Yeah.
Because if not, they just don't answer emails.
And automatic answering too, phone answering.
Yes.
People don't even know what they're, AI bots. And it just kept going on further and further. And I'm just like, and then they got drilling deeper and deeper how far it was going. And I'm just thinking, holy cow, and bidding, bidding on contracts and stuff.
All automated now.
All AI.
All automated.
Yeah, just unreal. But they're telling how much faster the AI was for the bids.
And more accurate.
But that too. But it was unreal. Like I said, so where we are now, I can't imagine where we're going to be. And it is changing within 3 months. Is huge step from where we are now.
Here's really the theme that I was trying to get across earlier, and here's just another example of it. I just got an email. Speaking of emails, I just got an email from Noel Perry, who is the analyst, been around forever, really sharp guy. Here's what the email says, and he's just going over the numbers for this week. He sent me his email. It says, these numbers continue to paint a picture of capacity crisis not far from the 21-22 event. I am wary because I see no other sign of that. Either we are in for a big surprise or there is a data problem. Stay extra aware. When the analysts have no clue what they should be writing about or analyzing, it's kind of scary. Noel's been doing this for like 50 years. And what he's saying is, here's what I'm seeing. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know where you go with that.
And that's why I'm kind of a little bit unsure what to talk about on the market, because although I am seeing rate increases, I guess I'm cautiously optimistic that things are improving, but I can't, it's too early to say for sure.
Yeah.
I will say that I've talked to a lot of brokers, and one broker in particular in Ohio I talked to, I asked him how the market was doing out there in Ohio, and he's like, man, we're getting slaughtered.
Hi, I'm Kevin Rutherford. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, or leave a comment below. It really helps us get the show out to more people. If you'd like to get the show, the full show, ad-free, you can sign up with the link below.